Hello and welcome to English 203, Introduction to Literary Study. I'll be your instructor, Dr. Sam Lackey, and I'm excited to get started. I already know a couple of you, but as for the rest, I look forward to getting to know you. This is a pretty small class, which is typical in the summer, and that's nice. We'll get to interact a little bit more. We'll get to know each other pretty quickly. It should not take me a long time to learn your names. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you throughout this semester. But as we know, this is a summer class, and summer classes are accelerated. They are condensed. So we are covering a lot of material in just 8 weeks. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and what that means a little later in today's lecture. But let's start with just sort of a general overview of the class. Just a basic introduction so you guys know what to expect. We'll talk a little bit about the syllabus. We'll talk a little bit about our weekly schedule. And then we'll turn our attention to our actual week 1 material. So I do want you guys to read the first 2 chapters in our textbook. So we'll be talking about chapters 1 and 2. I'll be talking about them in lecture, sort of going over some of the key concepts, some of the most important parts of those chapters. So let's start with our overview. A lot of this is pretty self-explanatory, but it is the first day. So I just want to go through some of this basic stuff so there are no questions or confusion about how this class is going to work or where you need to go in order to find things. I want everything to be very transparent throughout the semester. So obviously this is an online class, so we do not have any scheduled meetings. You guys know this. Most of you have probably taken online classes before, and if you have taken online classes before here at GBC, that means that you are already familiar with Web Campus, our online course management system. With any online class, obviously Web Campus becomes very important because that's where I post everything. We have weekly modules in Web Campus. So if you go to your Web Campus homepage and click on this class, you'll go to the course homepage. And that's really what you need to get into the habit of doing at the beginning of each week. And again, if you've had me for a previous class, you already know this, but I like to get on a very regular weekly schedule. So at the beginning of each week, I will publish that week's module in Web Campus. And that means you're going to find 3 essential things inside each week's module. You're going to find my weekly lecture. If you're watching this, you've already found the week 1 lecture, so that's good. I'll have one of these each week. All right, so it's always good to watch my lectures, and then you're also going to see the reading assignment for that week. I will always post the reading assignment, and because we are covering ground rather quickly in this class, because it is accelerated, we are doing a lot of reading. That's something that I want to talk more about today. We do have a pretty heavy reading load some weeks. I'll try to take it a little bit more easy on you during other weeks, but we always have something to read. Starting here in week 1, and that will be true at least through week 7. By week 8, our final week, we are focusing on final papers. But between now and week 7, there will always be a reading assignment, at least one, and sometimes there will be more than one. So I always post the reading assignments in the weekly modules. And then finally, the third essential component that you will find in each module will be the assignment that's due at the end of that week. I'll have an assignment link in that week's module, so you simply need to click on it when you're ready to upload your assignment. You click on that link. You should go to a new screen where you'll be able to upload, submit your file. Okay, so most of us have done all of this sort of thing before, but it's important that you are consistent, and it's important that you stay on my weekly schedule. So for us, each week begins first thing on Monday morning. That's when I publish that week's module. Typically, I'll publish it Sunday night, pretty late Sunday night before I go to sleep, so it's there first thing Monday when you guys wake up. Now, I realize that not everybody's going to have a chance to check the module first thing Monday morning, and that's fine. You don't necessarily have to look at everything at 8 a.m. Monday morning, but you should make it a point to at least glance at that week's module at some point over the course of the day on Monday. If you can't get to it in the morning, maybe the afternoon, maybe even Monday evening. At the latest, you want to be looking at the module early Tuesday. You don't have to do everything right away. You don't have to watch my lecture on Monday. You don't have to, rush to finish the reading assignment or whatever the written assignment for that week might be. You have the entire week to get everything done. Those of you who have had me before, you know this. I stick to the same schedule in all of my classes. So the week begins for us first thing Monday morning. That's when the module's published. That's when everything is available for you. And then the week ends Sunday night, right before midnight. So that's when everything is due. Whatever the written assignment is for that particular week, whether it's our big final paper or one of our shorter writing assignments, it's always going to be due at the end of a week. So that means Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. So by that point, I expect you to have everything done for that week. You should have watched my lecture by that point. You should have completed the reading, and you should have completed the written assignment and submitted it. Okay, you need to get it in before midnight if you don't want it to be counted late. So everybody can sort of find their own way of doing things. You guys know your schedules better than I do. So obviously, I don't know your schedules at all. I don't know when you work. I don't know when you have family obligations or when you might be working on other classes. So you need to carve out some time each week to do your 203 stuff. And that means reading whatever's assigned that week, watching my lecture, and then completing the written assignment. But you can go in whatever order works best for you. There's not really a one-size-fits-all sequence. It just kind of depends on how you like to work and what is best for you. My advice would be to complete most of the reading or all of the reading before you watch my lecture, because my lecture should really be sort of reinforcing what you've already seen, what you've already read, and what you've already begun to learn. And then you might want to, so that means you might want to read first, then watch my lecture, and then complete the written assignment, closer to the end of the week. But whatever works for you. Some people might want to start with my lecture. Maybe you want to do the written work a little bit earlier in the week. It's totally up to you, but just get accustomed to our schedule and try to stay on it. And if you stay on the weekly schedule, you should be in good shape as far as turning everything in and staying on top of things. Because again, we're moving fast. We're covering a lot of material because this is a summer class. We only have 8 weeks. So you don't want to fall behind. I mean, we never want to fall behind in any class. It's never ideal. But in a condensed, accelerated class, it's even bigger of a problem because you just don't have as much time to catch up. So it's important that you guys communicate with me, especially if you do find yourself falling behind. We have a lot of work to do in this class. I want to be very honest and open about that. We're going to be able to get everything done. It should be manageable. And of course, I am here to help. But if you find yourself falling behind at any point, you need to get in touch with me. Email me. I realize it's an online class and sometimes it can feel very impersonal to be in an online class. You don't have that one-on-one, face-to-face interaction. You might not feel like you really know me, but that's okay. The best way to communicate in here is going to be through email. So if you have questions, if you have problems, if you're going to be submitting an assignment late, or if you're going to be out of town, if you're going to be sort of out of commission, out of pocket for a while, just let me know. Shoot me a quick email before you leave town, before the assignment is late. Just get in touch with me. Let's talk. Let's try to come up with some kind of a plan. And usually that works pretty well. As long as you keep me in the loop, I'll be able to help out. And, we can always schedule a video conference if you need a little bit of one-on-one help. If you have any questions, if you're struggling with the particular assignment, I'm always happy to talk. And of course, we don't have regular class sessions, but video conferences through Cranium Cafe and Web Campus actually work pretty well. I use those in all of my classes. If you took me for 102, you might remember being forced to have a video conference with me. I don't make you guys do it in here, but it's always an option if you need extra help, if you want to sit down and talk about an assignment. I'm usually available at least a few days out of each week. It is summer. I'm essentially on vacation. This is the only class that I'm teaching right now. So I definitely have a lot more free time right now than I would in the fall or the spring semester. The only downside for you guys is I will be traveling a little bit during the summer. I'm going back to see my family. They live on the opposite side of the country. My parents, my sister, my niece and nephews. I just have a new family member was recently born, so I have to go and see the baby. So I am going to be out of town a little bit, but I'll have internet access. I'll have my laptop. I can still respond to emails. I'll still have everything posted in Web Campus for that week. So it really shouldn't be a problem. But just never hesitate to talk to me. It's never a bother. It's never a nuisance. I never mind. I am here to help you guys. So just feel free to email anytime, and I'm usually pretty good at getting back to you promptly. I can usually respond to any email within 24 hours. And if a full 24-hour period has gone by and you have still not heard from me, don't hesitate to email me again and remind me. That doesn't usually happen. I don't usually overlook emails, but every once in a while I might. So if you haven't heard from me, go ahead and email me again and say, hey, are you okay? Can you get back to me, please? And in that case, I will definitely respond. Okay, so let's take a look at the syllabus. If you guys are on your computer or on a mobile device right now, it might be good to go ahead and check out our homepage in Web Campus. If you can click on the course, go to our main page, you should see, you've already probably seen the week 1 module. It's already published. So again, the lecture is there, the reading assignment for this week is there, and your first written assignment, which is very easy. It's basically a free 50 points, just a little introduction, and we're using that as a discussion post. That's our first assignment. You'll see the link to that also in the week 1 module, but you'll also see a link to the syllabus. So typically I don't post the syllabus every week, but here in week 1 I do, because I want everybody to see it. You can also access the syllabus by clicking on the syllabus tab on that left-hand toolbar that you should see once you get inside our course page. So just check out the syllabus. You don't necessarily have to read it word for word. You don't have to memorize it. We're not going to do a syllabus quiz. I really just don't like those. They're useful, but I just don't want to do one. But I do expect you guys to look at the syllabus, and I expect you to be at least somewhat familiar with it. And the most important part of the syllabus is the detailed course schedule, which you'll find near the end of the document. So if you open it up, I think it's about 5 or 6 pages long, and most of that's just our basic course policies, stuff that I have to include, basic rules that we all have to follow. You don't have to read all of that, but if you ever have a question about my grading scale or my policy on late work or whatever, all of those policies can be found inside the syllabus. That's why it's a very important document. But also at the top of page 1, you'll see my contact information, my email address. I don't hold office hours during the summer. Normally I would, but I'm sort of mobile, I'm traveling, I'm not on campus during the summer, so I don't have live office hours, but of course that doesn't really matter for us. This is an online class, so we don't usually meet in person anyway. If you guys want to talk to me though, like I said, video conferences, if you want something more than just an email, I can set up video conferences, and those kind of function the same way as old-fashioned live office hours would work. So yeah, all that contact info can be found on page 1. You can look through the policies. One thing you might want to check out is some of the information about grades. So I list all of our assignments for the class. I tell you how much each assignment is worth. You can also find all of that inside Web Campus. Once you're on our page, you can click on the assignment tab and you'll see them all listed there, the point values, little brief summaries or descriptions of all of the assignments. You'll be able to access all of that. So we don't have a ton of assignments because it is because it's only an 8-week course. We have the final paper that's due at the end. We're obviously going to talk a lot about that. It's worth 300 points, so it is the biggest assignment, the most important assignment of the semester. But also we have some shorter writing assignments, what I call SWAs. You'll see those on our course schedule. They're also listed in the syllabus. So we're doing 3 of those, just sort of short writing exercises that are sort of helping us to get ready for the final paper and also just giving us a chance to practice various skills that we need to develop in order to successfully analyze literature. So we'll have 3 of those, and then we have 2 alternative media assignments, and those are fun. I don't want to get into those just yet. We'll talk about them more later. You can read some brief descriptions in Web Campus if you'd like, but basically those assignments just give us a chance, the alternative medias just give us a chance to think about these literary concepts that we're going to be learning each week, and we can then apply them to non-literary stuff, other types of media, other types of cultural productions that we might be familiar with and fond of. So that's kind of a fun way to reimagine some of the material that we're going to be covering in this class. So you have the 3 SWAs, 2 alternative medias, and then 2 really easy discussion posts. I basically needed 100 more points. I just do everything on a 1,000 point total. So all of our assignments equal 1,000 points. That's how I do the math, or at least that's how I enter everything, and I let Web Campus do the math. But I ended up 100 points short because I decided against a weekly discussion board. I would normally do that with a normal literature class in the fall or the spring. We would have weekly discussion posts, which would give us a chance to talk about whatever we were reading that week or whatever we were working on. I'm not going to make you guys do that, however, in here, because we have so much to read, we have a lot of work to do, and we don't have a lot of time in which to do it. So we're only going to be doing 2 discussion posts. We're not doing them on a weekly basis. We're just doing 1 at the beginning of the class and 1 at the end. And they are basically free points. So the first discussion post, like I've said, is an introduction. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us your name and a few other pieces of key info so we can all get to know each other and learn each other's names. And if you do that on time, you'll get 50 points. Okay, that's the first discussion post. And then later in the semester, we'll have another easy one for another 50 points. and that's just a way for me to help you guys out. As long as you complete those 2 discussion posts, you'll get 100 points guaranteed. All right, but all of the other assignments will be a little bit more challenging, but you can see all of those assignments listed. You can see the point values, so there should never be any confusion about how much something is worth, or, you know, what percentage of the overall course grade this assignment goes for. I mean, you can kind of crunch all of those numbers, use the syllabus, and use Web Campus for that. And of course, you guys know you can always check your grade in Web Campus. It will be up to date as long as you've submitted everything and turned everything in up to that point. You'll always be able to check on your grades. But if you ever have questions about your grade, we can always talk more. So just look through the syllabus, kind of browse it, check out all the grade info. You can kind of skim the policies, but then when you get to the course schedule, which begins around page 5, maybe page 6. Once you get there, I want you to pay attention, because that's a very detailed course schedule. I'm telling you exactly what we're doing each week of the semester. All right, so if you're going out of town, I realize that life happens. Sometimes we get a little sidetracked and we might fall a little behind. It's not necessarily the end of the world, but if you do have to leave town, if there is a family emergency, if you do get called into work on your day off or whatever, you can always check the schedule to see what we're doing. If you're away from your computer, if you're away from schoolwork for a few days or even a full week, you should still be able to, see what we're doing, see what we're reading, and you can catch up. It might mean that you have to double up and do extra work the next week or the week after, but you should always know kind of what's going on, where we are, and what we're doing. That's why I give you that schedule. So my advice would be to save the syllabus. It's not a bad idea to print it out and maybe just keep a copy on hand. We used to do that in the old days. I've been teaching for so long, I can remember actually making copies and handing out physical copies of the syllabus to everyone on the first day of class. That was, of course, before I did mostly online. We don't do that anymore. We don't really expect you guys to print stuff anymore, but I would save the syllabus. I would download it, save it, keep it handy so you can open it and look at it whenever it's convenient. And again, take a look at that class schedule. You don't have to memorize it, but just take a look so you can get a general feel for what we're going to be doing over the next 8 weeks. All right, if you have any questions about the syllabus or about anything that you see in Web Campus, just let me know. But again, the key for us is consistency, regularity, and just staying on schedule. So if you guys can get into the habit of watching my lecture, doing the reading, and completing any written assignment over the course of each week, again, those are the 3 pillars of the class: my lecture, the reading assignment, and the written assignment for that week. If you can just get into the habit of checking those 3 boxes over the course of each week, you should be fine. Okay, and of course, I'm always here to help. So that's it for the introduction. Let me know if you have questions, and we're going to come back for part 2 of the week 1 lecture, and we'll start talking about our actual content.